You're watching Final Score with Wes Moore on Fox 16.
Hard to believe we only have a couple weeks left in conference play before we reach the postseason. And really hard to believe the season has just flown by. Scooter Register back to break down Week 7. I mean, can you believe how quickly this season's going?
It just seems like every year it goes by faster. And it's unbelievable that we're starting Week 8 this week.
I know, seriously. But let's talk about Week 7 before we look ahead to Week 8. We'll start off with a big win for the Catholic Rockets and specifically a big second half against the Charging Wildcats.
Just a tremendous win, and I'll go on record saying this is John Fogelman's biggest win since he's been at Catholic. And as you mentioned Friday night on the air, first time that North Little Rock's lost a conference game since 2015. And it's hard to win over there, and certainly it was a huge win. Great effort by the players, and I thought that I saw Coach Fogelman earlier in the week at a middle school game, and he was telling me that he thought that they would be able to play. Didn't know if they could match up the physicality with them, but obviously they did that. I think the key to the game, of course, North Little Rock turned it over 3 times. There was visiting with him. The key thing was when they scored with 25 seconds to go in the first half, gave them momentum going in. It was 21 to 21 at halftime. And, the kids really started to believe that they could do that. And then, they scored. They missed an extra point, went up 27 to 21. And then they got the scoop and score, the 85-yard scoop and score, which was created by their defense. So that put them up. But I think really the thing that with the momentum they had, the 95-yard drive in 7 plays, all on the ground to seal that win was huge for them. And this really gives the Rockets momentum going down the stretch. And they go to Fort Smith Southside this week. And I was telling a friend of mine who has a son that plays for Catholic, if there ever was a trap game, this could be it. Because Southside's 0-4, and they're well coached, and they've got a good football team. And they're playing at home. And so the Rockets will have to be mentally prepared for this game. But tremendous win for Catholic.
Like I said before, big second half, outscoring North Little Rock 20-0 in those final 24 minutes. All right, let's go to War Memorial Stadium. Little Rock Christian in 5A Central play takes down Parkview.
Yeah, and Parkview was confident going into this game, but Little Rock Christian is a tremendous football team. And any time that you score on your first 6 possessions, you're probably going to have a good night. And in fact, the coach was quoted in the paper saying probably their best start all year. And of course, Keem Gilmore had threw for 6 touchdown passes, 298 yards. And Chris Hightower, what can you say about the guy? He's a man among boys out there. 5 receptions, 188 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And so Little Rock Christian continues to probably be the team in 5A. They're playing really well, and a big win. And moving forward, we'll just have to see what happens down the stretch. But the next 2 or 3 weeks are really going to be huge as far as seeding in all the conferences. But really, I think they're probably in the driver's seat for 1 seed. And they're looking really good. And really the only negative play that they had in the first half was when the quarterback took a knee to end the half. So anytime you get those kind of statistics, you're playing well. But he's done a great job with that program, and they're playing extremely well.
Definitely hard to slow down this Warrior offense. We'll stay in the 5A, a good 5A South battle right here in the capital city as McClellan took on Texarkana.
Yeah, and really McClellan dominated that game early. Their physical play up front, and just really kind of had Texarkana at bay. And Coach Moody, again, quoted in the paper saying, they got to learn how to finish. And watching the highlights on TV, Texarkana got back in the ball game and then took the ball down and scored and went ahead with like 46 seconds to go in the game. And so that was really the end of that. And that really puts McClellan in a bind because now they're 2-2. They've got Magnolia coming this week, which I wanted to mention is homecoming. And 1994, which I was coaching that team then, was the last time McClellan won a conference championship. And so a bunch of those guys are going to be back. So hopefully we can, those people that do attend homecoming, some of the older players and stuff returning, that they can kind of give the Lions a boost because they need to win this week to get back in the thick of it. So, and Hot Springs, you know, who beat them 2 weeks ago, lost, and so they're really only one game out for that. But they got a tough game this week, and then they got to play Fairview and Lakeside. So, and Lakeside's doing really well. So it'll be tough, but McClellan's got a good football team. They just need to try to finish.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I remember talking to Maurice Moody before we started the season, and he said, obviously, with this being the last year for this program, they're dedicating this entire season to all the former Crimson Lions who played. So I would imagine that having all those former players come back for homecoming, I'd imagine that'd give them a boost.
Well, it should be really something special, and not just because I was involved in that, but 94 was really a special year. Won 13 games. And beat Pine Bluff at Pine Bluff, and then ended up losing to them 25-21 in the state championship game. But that was really a special group of guys. I get chill bumps talking about it, but a great group of guys. 11 of those guys signed college scholarships off of that team. So it should be a big night at McClellan.
All right, let's go back to the 7A up in Northwest Arkansas. Conway just squeaks by Fort Smith Northside.
Yeah. You know, Conway's relying on their offense, and they really got it going. And really, it came down to a field goal. They kicked a field goal on the last play of the game to win that ball game. And but they continue to rely on their rushing, and Coach Fimple's done a really good job with that offense. And their defense is good. He's a defensive guy, so you're not going to beat Conway. You know, they're not going to make many mistakes on defense, and they've got an offense that can score points and. So they struggled a little bit. So they got Central goes to Conway this week, and so that should be a big ball game for them. But they're 3-1. There's 3 teams that are 3-1, and Conway's one of the 3-1 teams in that conference. So it's a huge game, a big game for Central because they're 1-3, and they're needing another conference win bad. So it should be a big ball game. No question about that. Okay, we got about 45 seconds left really quickly, other than Benton Greenwood, because I know a lot of people are looking at that game for week 8. What other big games can we expect? Well, if you remember about 2-3 weeks ago, I mentioned about Bauxite. 4-0 Bauxite comes out on Highway 10 to play Joe T. Robinson. That should be a really big ball game. Sheridan's 5-2. You know, they're in the thick of the 5A South and 6A South, and so again we mentioned the game at McClellan. That's huge. I want to give a shout out to West Memphis. They upset Jonesboro, and again that was on a field goal on the last play of the game. So a shout out to West Memphis. But so that tightens that conference race up. West Memphis needed a win bad. They were struggling, but Jonesboro's got a really good ball club. So. Greenwood, Searcy, and Lake Hamilton are all 7-0 in that 6A. So that's going to be an interesting race to watch. Oh man, I mean, you nailed it right there. That's going to be a fun race to watch down the stretch. Coach, as always, appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, appreciate it.
All right, stick around. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this here on The Final Score with Wes Moore.